Great. Looks like we're doing great. So, good morning to everyone on LinkedIn or wherever you happen to be watching this, YouTube, Facebook. And I want to welcome you to Talk About TV, where we talk about all things experiential outdoor hospitality. I'm your host, Michelle Oliver, and today I'm delighted to be in Canada, I think, with Matt Small. It looks like you're in Canada. Matt
Canada.
Small of RVI. I know it's a stunning background, actually, hockey, being outside in the blue sky and snow. That's coming to Colorado soon, too. So I may be able to relate. But anyway, I'm very excited to be here with you today. And everyone who's listening, I think you know that your outdoor hospitality project is not just about amenities or glamping tents or airstreams or whatever you're choosing to put on it. It really starts with understanding the bigger picture, the vision, the key factors that actually shape everything that you see and the things that are actually going to work. If you just jump in, you're going to you're going to find a hornet's nest of problems. So this is what we're here to talk about today, and the most successful projects. I know you and I have done a lot of things, worked with a lot of people. Some things are successful and some aren't, and we're here to share with you what the difference is today. Welcome, Matt.
Yeah,
Thank you for
thank you.
being here.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's great to be part of the conversation and looking forward to it. So, I know when we talked about this originally, I was excited to dive in. It's a little bit of my background as a landscape architect, and we get involved with a variety of different projects and different scopes, and we see a lot of problems, I guess, at the end of the day, but we also see a lot of opportunities. And Um, it was, I would say, about 4 years ago that I really got immersed in outdoor hospitality, and was something personally that really fell in love with, and have been fortunate enough to work on a lot of different projects across the country in that space. So I'm excited to dive in today and talk more with you about it.
That's great. Me too. Maybe we could start. I know I've got some bullet points written here, but maybe we could actually begin with how to identify real market opportunities. And you have in parentheses quickly. So I'm interested to hear about the quickly part,
Yeah,
but that would be a good place to start.
that'd be great. So, um, I think for us, no matter what type of project, but in particular hospitality and outdoor hospitality, for us, it's all about the people, right? So we always want to start with who are the people, and who are the people that are in your market today, and what are they coming here for, right? What's drawing them to a particular area? And I know there's, what we saw, one of the big problems that I think a lot of operators and owners face is, where do I start? And I always say, let's start with the people and let's understand the market. So we use a lot of tools. We use a lot of online, not quite real time, but near time data tools that tell us where people go, how long they stay in certain places, where they where they started their trip and where they end their trip. And it's through those online resources, through those data intelligence tools, that we're able to do kind of a market awareness snapshot to understand maybe not just your property, but more importantly, what are the major attractions in the area, and what's bringing them to the area? How long are they staying? What's the demographic and psychographic profile of these visitors? And then also look at the competition, right? Often a lot of markets have competitors in the market already. So we're able to kind of take a snapshot of who they are, what's their makeup, um, what do they like spending money on, what are the demographics behind it, how long, when do they travel, how long do they stay in places. And it sounds a little, I guess, like Big Brother, but really at the end of the day, all that data is aggregated. So you're never able to like say it's this particular person. But what we do with that is we start to build, what often you hear about is, kind of a market persona, a target persona. And that's a piece that we always want to start with that because it just tells us so much about really kind of who maybe should be our target persona, our target market for a particular project.
Yeah, that I think that is really, really important. I've noticed that a lot of people that come maybe like from greenfield development, they'll have a piece of land or they're working towards acquiring one. Often they'll already own the land and they have a particular, there's a lot of passion in this industry. So
Yeah,
people have a particular passion for this area. They grew up there or they've had experiences there and they really believe that they know already and they may know a lot. Like if you're on a property near Yosemite or something like that, obviously there are attractions that are apparent right away. But the deeper you go, people do miss a lot of opportunities. And I think you're absolutely right that the more granular you can be, the more you can focus your marketing, your really everything, the amenities that you offer and your competition, you have to be different. So if everybody in the area is serving, I don't know, hockey players, since I keep looking at your hockey player, or climbers or, hikers in Colorado or fly fishing or whatever the thing is,
yeah,
you've got to be able to be more creative than that and have amenities that are added on. So
yeah,
most
yeah,
often people miss demographics. So
yeah.
that's a great place to start.
And I think what's interesting is we get we do these all the time, right? So we look at the market snapshot, we look at the visitors today, and then we kind of take a step back and you know there's this alignment that needs to happen because often owners say, well, here's who I think I'm selling to. Here's my target market. Great,
Hmm.
let's put that over here. And then now let's look at the competition, who they're bringing in. Let's look
Hmm.
at what's the gap, right? Is there a gap? Are you perfectly aligned? Maybe. But often there's a gap, there's a gray area, there's an opportunity zone that no one's addressing, right? And
Yeah.
where the magic happens is when you find a market niche that's underserved that also happens to be on the higher end of the revenue, you know, average revenue perspective, then as an operator and owner, you can say, okay, that's a demographic that is not being served. They're high income and they index for spending around a lot of the things that I can offer from an outdoor hospitality perspective. And one quick example, we did a study for someone in the Hill Country in Texas.
Hmm.
I'm gonna keep it pretty high level generic, just to kind
Yes.
of for confidentiality. But
Yeah.
what we found with a quick study is that there was a certain demographic of people, not just from Austin, not just from San Antonio, but actually Dallas, Fort Worth, and it completely broke the mold of the 2 hour drive window. It was a three and a
Oh,
half hour
wow.
drive. They were
Hmm.
coming to this particular location to go to breweries, to go to wineries, to go do these things on the weekends, long weekends. They were staying in the city for 3 or 4 hours, and then they left. They just left. And because there was no place to eat, really, there was no place to stay that fit their lifestyle, that fit the experiences that they really cared about. So that's an example. And they were some of the highest net worth visitors to the region,
Hmm.
right? So some of the more popular glamping cities were attracting people that were in the 120 to 140 average income range. These guests were indexing closer to 160,000 a year average income, right? So that starts to form a picture of, and we knew that they love pets. They knew that they spent money on travel. They spent money on premium credit cards, right? So you can, as an experienced person, right? What would you do with that? Like you would take that and say, okay, I'm getting a picture of who this target
Totally.
market starts to look like.
That is incredible. You were able to discern that from the research that you do
Yep,
on the
yep,
front end.
and
And is that part of this? I don't want to be spammy here, but I'm very curious. Is that part of the Pathfinder report, everything that you just
yeah. So
talked
that
about?
that's
That,
a part of the Pathfinder report, which our intent with that is it's intended to be. very accessible to a broader audience. It's
Hmm.
I call it pre-feasibility, right? It's due diligence, but with market intelligence, behavioral intelligence. Because again, we want to be champions of the people first and foremost. We want to use all the latest and greatest, you know, intelligence platforms that are out there and help
Hmm.
owners synthesize that information so that we build this really feature rich persona that then opens the door for all the other things like you said earlier, right? It answers what sort of accommodations, maybe, what sort of amenities, what sort of programming. Because if we know really who we're targeting, then we can build a very specific program and amenity package and experience plan that
Hmm.
differentiates from the competition and aligns to the behaviors, right? And I think that's
Right.
I think that there's a lot of other industries that um, do a great job of understanding behaviors, experiences, and how experiences, can trigger these behaviors. Disney's
Hmm.
probably a great example of that, right? That they
Sure.
really have it down to a science.
I mean, you know what's really interesting when you shared that example, though, because everyone talks about this. When you rebuild your website, you're focused, who's your avatar, And there's a lot of speak about this as there is everything. Um, but that example is so incredibly powerful, Matt, to know that these people are spending 3 to 4 hours in the city and then they're leaving. That piece of information, that data,
Yeah,
what an incredible opportunity. I
yeah,
mean,
and as an operator with this report where those people are coming from. So
that's
from a
amazing.
marketing perspective, right, to be able to reach out and have targeted marketing
Yes,
and targeted
exactly.
campaigns, that
Exactly.
yeah, that's information. Another example I can give you is we're doing one now for a new Jellystone project. Can't really
Mhm.
name locations, but that was more complex. It had more personas, right? That's an example where we're dealing with probably three or four: a primary persona market, target, and then secondary personas.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think a lot of it was pretty predictable, or in my mind, predictable. But there was
Hmm.
one that grabbed my attention that I had no idea. Um, it was kind of I don't know, it was kind of the adventurous adult category is what I like to call it, right? So
Can you describe that? Like, how do you
yeah,
define
so
that?
it's probably 50 to 65 plus, um, probably empty nesters, mm, high income earners that are looking for a sense of adventure. And
Yeah.
what we found is that they are visiting locations close to this future resort to go whitewater rafting, fly fishing, and do
Oh,
all these like
fun.
and I was like, I had no idea, right? And so
Yeah.
you take a traditional Jellystone model and then you start to say, well, we know that these people are within striking distance of, and they're coming here for these things. And you look at that market and you realize that there's probably lodging and experiences that works for them. Like the experiences work for them during the day, but
Hmm.
what about the evenings? What about the restaurants, the evenings, the overnight stays, right? Market opportunity right there to lean
Definitely.
into something that's catered to that demographic. Pretty strong um, market trade area size, right? All things considered. And the other fascinating thing with this particular research assignment was this is not just from the state that it's located in. We are seeing it all over the Midwest and Eastern US from major population centers. So several of these destinations that these people are going for experiences, they
Hmm.
are flying in. They are coming in masses from all over the U.S. to go visit these places, and so it's
This
pretty
is,
fascinating when you look at the data and what's behind it.
yes. I mean, I'm having a whole new perspective revisiting this because I think so often I do what everyone does. It's like the obvious is obvious, and it's such an opportunity in and of itself. But as they always say, the
Yep,
riches are in the niches, right? And
yep, yep.
everybody has something inside of them. I mean, this is why there's all the women, when you said like people between 50 and 65 or whatever, there's a lot of women 50 plus who are doing solo travel and they're
Yep.
looking for community. I mean, you just start opening your mind and looking at all the opportunities, and many people have built extraordinary movements by
Yep.
just speaking the language to the underserved, as you
Yep.
mentioned.
Yep.
And it's just being more, well, collecting the data. Like it's incredible that you have tools that can get that granular. We all know they exist, but
Yep.
then how do we access those as perhaps a mom and pop
Yep.
campground or RV resort? And I would say reach out to Matt. He's got the tools, and that's what I love about when I'm learning a little bit now about the Pathfinder report.
Okay.
I think it's such an intelligent business move for anyone, regardless of where you are. You know, before you
Yeah.
start investing a bunch of money, you should know where that investment is going.
Yeah. And I think that was um, personal reflection based on lots of conversations over the years with the glamping show and other, just talking to other owners and operators.
Hmm.
Where do I start? How do I know? I have land. I have some ideas, but where do I start? I think I really need to go raise a bunch of money to go do this right, right? And so it's a chicken and the egg scenario because you're not. It's hard to raise the money if you don't have a great story to tell and a great plan and some information to back it up. Um, what we're trying to fill as a market need is that high level, approachable, affordable initial report to say what are the market signals? Like what's the market telling us? What are some signals that we're seeing? What are some
Hmm.
gaps in opportunities as an owner that you could walk into and probably have some strong runway
Hmm.
for a competitive, beachhead locally in your market? Because that's like the so what. You're answering the so what for
Right.
the investors, right? The investors are like another resort. So what? let,
Exactly.
let me explain how, let me show you something, right? And it's this kind of data and insights that we want to help people get to quickly, right? So there's definitely a place and a need if you're going to finance through a bank, for a traditional feasibility study.
Hmm.
But what we found is I may not be ready to spend 40, 60, $80,000 on a traditional feasibility study if I just want to confirm, do I have something or do I not? And
You
what are the
know, I
signals?
I want to speak to that for a moment because I cannot tell you how many clients we have had. Some of them actually had already paid for feasibility studies. They had the site laid out. We go and visit, we look at the property. You get on site. Now, this is a segue, I guess, for you, but you get on site. And if you've done this before, you know a lot of things immediately. Like a
Yep.
lot of things become obvious, or you look at their site plan and you're like, this makes no sense. We have to flip the entire thing around, get rid of half of your sites. I mean, just on and on. And these people had spent millions of dollars already. And
Yep.
then you're taking 10 steps back and you have to reevaluate, rethink everything. And it really does come with exactly what you're talking about. So through this Pathfinder report that, everything, maybe let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about what that process is like and the different components,
Yep.
because it mitigates so many problems. I mean, really, I have seen, I don't know, a dozen properties have to walk away because you run out of money. You
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
and if you're making big decisions and big investments, it's just a bit premature. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
nightmare. It's a
Yeah.
dream
No,
shattered, actually. It's very,
it
very
is.
distressing for people.
It's like, being an entrepreneur for a while, I can relate. You put your
Yeah.
heart and your soul You put everything you have into it,
Yes,
and I think it's about not only money, but it's time, right? We want to accelerate
absolutely
whatever
is.
timeline you are on. We want to help you accelerate that. And it's not
Hmm.
about the full build out. It's about what I always said is the minimal viable product. It's the
Yes.
minimal amount of resort you need to build to get the doors open, to get started, to generate, to implement some of your initial brand strategy, to corner the market and fit the need, right? And so the
Yeah.
Pathfinder report, and you, to your point earlier about the site stuff, we felt it was very important to have a partner as part of this Pathfinder report. So we
Hmm.
partnered with 10 Point Services out of Texas. They're a general contractor that specializes in outdoor hospitality projects. They bring the nuts and bolts, the we build this stuff for a living perspective to every report that we
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
because we want to understand not just the market, like what's the big market. So that's the first part of the report is what is the location as a whole, right? It's the state, it's the jurisdiction. What's the lay of the land? Are there attractions close by? Is it next to a national park? Are there other significant attractions? Are we pulling people locally, regionally, nationally to this area? What sort of volume? What sort of spend? What's the recreation and outdoor
Hmm.
recreation spend like for that particular state? So we break all that down, and then we say, great, we have that. Now we're gonna take that a step further. We're gonna give you your personas, right? We're gonna say, is there one? Are there multiple? And this isn't just anybody and everybody. This is our take on, based on the data, the strongest personas that we think you should consider to give yourself a differentiated position, or it's just an opportunity zone that we see, right?
Yeah.
So underserved, high income, or middle income, right? It's just what's the opportunity sweet spot.
Right.
um,
Exactly.
we're also breaking down the competitive landscape at a high level for you, so this is not an exhaustive competitor analysis that you might have in a traditional feasibility report. This is, call it 3 to 5 considerations, and but what we're really after is some of the thread of an initial brand strategy, which is how am I going to differentiate and create a beachhead so that I'm different, and I setting myself apart from the competition. So when I build something for that target persona, it speaks to them, right? It comes natural to them. They feel like that you built this resort for them. And then we transition that into, um, depending on the type of project, right? We transition to more of the logistics of it. So key market signals, right? So based on the data, based on the personas, what are some of the signals that we're seeing in the market? What are some of the action items or brand strategy components that you should really consider building on? And then we get Kenny on site. So every Pathfinder report, Kenny with 10 Point Services travels to the site with you, does a site walk with you, wants to understand just logistics. What's the infrastructure like? What's the grading like? Are there site constraints? Are there easements, access issues? We want to take a quick look at entitlements. We want to look at all the nuts and bolts of a site to see, what are the things we think might be roadblocks for you versus what are the low hanging fruit items. And we're going to also work to help you understand how much, what yield looks like. So a quick yield study, could you put 50 cabins and 30 RV sites, or 10 cabins or 10 yurts, whatever it might be. And then Kenny's going to put together a construction cost proposal. So that basically is a probable cost scenario that breaks it out by major categories. So market opportunities, some yield, a yield opportunity, some commentary around feasibility and constructability, along with some initial back and napkin kind of construction cost estimates, so that you can look at the big picture quickly and say, a report that took a couple of weeks to put together, you can take a step back and say, Does this feel right? Does this look right? Does it pass the sniff test? Can I
Ah,
take
it's
this, you
so
know?
smart. Yeah, I know you have more to share about this, but it's so intelligent to do this. And people think they know, you just don't know what you don't know. And like all the words, we all hear the words all the time. And I think that's really why I want to be talking with you and on LinkedIn for everyone to understand it's not, you hear the kind of the same language from everyone, but until you're really inside it, you don't understand the obstacles that you will not have to deal with if you do this first. And
Yep.
there's just so many things you cannot anticipate. Every property is different. Until you have someone on site that has a vision from having done it again and again, you really can only see from a limited perspective. So,
Yeah.
this is the vision where everybody talks about vision, but this is what we're talking about, like
Yeah.
legitimate vision that someone else can see more than you can see. So, yeah.
Yep.
So, what's next then after that?
So, usually that's the jumping off point for most owners, right? They're going to have a good foundation to make an evaluation. From there, there's going to be some insights that they can build upon. So, let's just say, I've got a resort, I get this report, it looks good, right? Um, Again, our goal is path of least resistance. What gets you there the fastest? And like you said, every project's different. Locations across the country are different. Um, Zoning regulations, permitting regulations, environmental considerations. It really, um, they're different everywhere. In some cases, we may recommend to the owner that they should work directly with 10 Point Services or another general contractor and implement a design build approach. Right? If we look at the regulatory environment and the jurisdiction, and it seems to be friendly. And permitting is pretty straightforward. The site's pretty clean in terms of not a lot of environmental issues. Utilities are right at the site. Grading's pretty flat. This seems like a slam dunk. You know what? Having a group like RVI or somebody spend a whole bunch of time and money to do a full set of construction documents may not get you where you need to be, right? You may be able to partner with like you, Michelle, and say, let's come up with a brand strategy and an implementation component for programming. And then let's have a landscape architect or a site planner draw a quick site plan for us, and then have a contractor do a design build based on a guaranteed price kind of thing. So that's a scenario versus if it's more involved, then we may, as part of our report, say, this is going to be a longer process. There's environmental regulatory things that you're going to have licensed professionals guide you through this process. Or, it might be a regulatory thing where you see a lot of owners and operators bring their attorney to the first meeting with the city. And that often can be um, not a positive thing.
Dangerous. Yeah, that's not a good idea.
So
Don't do that.
so it's complicated and it varies by every project, but our goal is, as part of this Pathfinder report, to give you some insights into kind of next steps and what they should be thinking about and considering.
Wonderful. As you're talking, I just keep, I guess I had forgotten how many people we'd worked with that come up to, you spend a lot of money, then you come up to, oh, we now know that there is an additional environmental study that we have to pay a lot of money for. And you go into a waiting period. And those waiting periods will or not will, but potentially can absolutely destroy your project.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You just so having I don't know, just the value is building and building in my mind because I have watched a lot of people really suffer and lose a lot of money.
yeah,
And usually there's a friends and family raise that starts out these projects, and those are the people that you wind up hurting. So I don't want to be negative. I'm just remembering like
yeah,
what I've
yeah.
actually seen in real life. So I encourage everyone. And by the way, this is a shameless plug, but I really want to promote what Matt is doing here because I think it's intelligent. It's a tremendous service for everyone and anyone who's looking to do this. So we are offering some bonuses for anybody that has a conversation and winds up jumping on with this Pathfinder report, like through the end of Glamping Show week. Can you believe Glamping Show is next
No,
week?
it's already
Next
here.
Tuesday. I
It's already
know.
here.
I don't know where
Yeah.
the summer went, but anyway, so it's going to be a wonderful show. The weather will be gorgeous. Come to Colorado.
Yep.
It'll be sunny and warm. And if you're an adventurer, you can come early, leave late, and go have an adventure in the
Yes.
mountains.
Exactly. See a little bit of the color still, hopefully.
Yeah, buy a campground, buy an
Yes.
RV resort.
We'll talk to Michelle.
Yeah, talk to me and Matt, and we'll come out and take a look at it. I'm just playing around here, but seriously, this is an absolutely brilliant thing that you're doing, and you're so heart and service focused, and it's so genuine that it's just wonderful, Matt. Like you're always
Yeah,
saying,
I think
people first.
well, it comes back to first and foremost for me personally. I've had a lot of great experiences growing up and even with my family now with the outdoors and camping. And that's what everybody probably why they're in this business is they really want to extend that hospitality experience and get people outside, right?
It's
And
really true.
so what we can do to accelerate that, I mean, so that's a personal thing for me and for us it's the realization that RVI we're a big company. We're all over the US at this point, and we're part of a larger engineering company that's 2,000 plus people. So there's a very good chance that we're not going to be a good fit for for a lot of people but we still want to help them, right? And that was the intent of this report is to get people off the ground floor, get them started, give them enough information that they can figure out what are my next three things that I really have to do to move this forward. And they're going to know pretty quickly coming out of that report, kind of who the right people are to talk to is the next steps. And how to take that journey and move that journey forward.
Yeah, of all the people that I've spoken with over the last few years, it's remarkable to me how everyone thinks they have the big, most unique concept. And that's great because it almost always comes from like what you're sharing, a personal experience with the outdoors that they
Mhm.
want everybody else to share, and big-hearted, wonderful people in this space. However, without going deeper and really talking to people again that have that perspective and vision from
Yep.
working with many other people, you don't really know. Like just because you put a cold plunge and a sauna on your property, it doesn't make you a wellness retreat. Like,
Yeah.
and there are so many different ways and unique strategies that you can employ that really will differentiate you. So
Yeah.
even nothing more than just the opportunity to talk with Matt and hey, what's your perspective on this? And I'm happy to speak with anyone too. But it takes a community to create a really stellar property that makes a difference in people's
Yeah.
lives. And
Yeah.
so
100%. I am always remind myself that looking back it's complicated, right? If you're going to launch a
yes,
resort, the number of quote unquote people that are professionals that you would typically engage with, it's a pretty long list, right?
it
it's
is.
it's probably an attorney, it's probably a land planner, it's probably an architect, it's probably a landscape architect, civil engineer, depending
Yep.
on site conditions it might be an environmental consultant. There's a contractor usually involved of some sort of capacity. We haven't even talked about the lodging and the units yet,
I
right?
know, I was going to say, and
Right.
this is why,
In
and I've seen,
marketing,
I know
it's operational support. And then I think the key thing is you come up with a game plan day one and you go to execute it. But the market changes. The market's never
yes.
static. So you need to stay, that's where I think it's, um, find that niche, find that market, develop that brand strategy, but then don't take your foot off the gas. You always got to be
That's right.
aware of how things are shifting, and how other influences impact your visitors and their willingness or their ability to want to travel.
It's a great
And
point.
I think we're
You
seeing
you've
that
got
now
and
where,
but that's what happens, Matt. I know I'm interrupting you. I want
yeah,
to hear
you're
what
good.
you're going to say, but this is what happens. People, they're exhausted. They're burned
Yes.
out. They didn't know what to expect. And it's like a crisis after crisis kind of feeling because they didn't have that perspective. They didn't know it was a marathon, right? And
Yep.
this is why they finally open. And I've seen this. It's not funny, but I've seen it often where their furniture is terrible because they run out of money or they don't plan, they don't think, and that's the experience your people are having. They are the ones sitting on that couch or
Right.
sleeping in that bed. Or I mean, we could go on and on. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah,
But
probably a
and
topic for another time, and it'll be
it
floating around
is,
the glamping
yeah,
show. But the experience, bringing it back
yeah,
to that, and it's not just one experience. It's the arrival experience. It's the booking experience.
yeah.
It's the checkout experience. It's all of the experiences need to work together, and that's why tying back to the user and
Hmm.
understanding who you're trying to serve and really zeroing in on that, because maybe you start with the two or three really differentiated experiences that you think that target group's really gonna want, right? And go out and we don't have to guess. Let's go out and find those people and interview them, right? I mean, let's go
Yeah,
talk to
exactly.
those type of people, and as an owner, you can kind of do some pre-homework and you can test that a little bit. So it's zeroing in, focusing, minimum viable resort, I guess is what I would call it. So you're not having to, maybe you're not having to overspend just because you think you need to do it. And you can get creative with it too. It's the experiences
Yes.
don't have to be a $300,000 in-ground pool, perhaps, So
Right.
yeah, I think
As a
it's,
matter of fact, there are many more better ways to spend $300,000 than a pool. But yeah,
yeah,
there are. It's such an exciting opportunity, and I absolutely love what you're offering. And I think what we will do is come back many, many times, week after week, and have some conversations just to help people understand more. The more you know, the better decisions you can make as you're building. And even the same is true with any CapEx project or
mhm.
anything in outdoor hospitality. There are ways that will just set you up to differentiate yourself, and we want to help you get there.
Yeah,
So I'm
absolutely.
excited
That
for
would be
these
great. And it's,
conversations, Matt. Yeah.
yep, it'll be great. And I know, one of the next times we get together too, we can kind of highlight, a companion to the Pathfinder report is a Pioneer Vision canvas that we are going to be handing out at the glamping show, but it's a one pager kind of mini business plan that ties really closely with that Pioneer, the Pathfinder report that we have. So that's something too that, we'd love to share as part of this platform as well. So
Yeah, we'll be
mm,
talking about all these things. And if you invest in this Pathfinder report between now and the end of next week, let's say like next Friday, I think that's the 4th of October, I will add a bonus that comes from Involved Lodging and Expitality that is all around the experience and branding and all of that. So that'll be thrown in to the
yep, that's
mix,
great.
which is a super value. Next Wednesday, we will all be at the glamping show, believe it or not. So
Yep.
we'll be back. I hope you'll come back and join me the following Wednesday, and we can talk about what we learned at the glamping show, who we met, and
Good.
provide some more value to this space.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt. Have a wonderful day.
You
Thank
too.
you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next week in Colorado. See you.